it's a certified murder weapon. Yes, it's humongous, it's huge, but I'm also so excited to read it. It hasn't even come out yet and it has already rewired my brain chemistry. So many people told me, okay, now that you've read War and Peace, please read This Is My Year. I'm sorry, I have to say it, this is my year. There are so many books that I want to read this year, and I thought the best way to do that is to do a video about it so that you guys can help me stay accountable. Of course, I'm not going to read only these books this year, but these are like my main priority for the year. I really don't want this year to end without having read all of these books. So if you ever see me not reading these books or not even mentioning them on my reading plans, please feel free to call me out and attack me. I would really appreciate that. I really need the help because some of these books are, I mean, they could be considered just a tiny bit ambitious, and I could be overestimating my reading talents or my reading skills. So I just really need all the help I can get, if we're being honest. Without further ado, let's get into the top 23 books that I want to read in 2023. I've divided my TBR into 4 categories. The first one being classics, the second one being new releases, the third one being unfinished series, and then the fourth one being standalones. I really love organizing things, so I just felt like putting these books into categories makes it a little bit more manageable and a lot less intimidating, because there are 23 books here and 7 of them are classics. So I definitely needed, I needed to find a way to make this list seem a little less scary, and I think the categories helped just a tiny bit. So let's start with the classics category. The first classic that I have on this list is Anna Karenina, written by Leo Tolstoy. It's officially been a whole year since I read War and Peace. Yes, sorry, I don't really talk about it much, but yes, I did read War and Peace. And in that video, if you haven't seen it, I'll link it up here, but in that video, so many people told me, okay, now that you've read War and Peace, please read Anna Karenina. A lot of people said that I was going to love Anna Karenina a lot more than I did War and Peace, and that it's a lot easier to read as well, and also a lot shorter. So I'm definitely very excited to read Anna Karenina, and I already have it on my physical TBR, so that's done. I don't need to wait for a copy to arrive, it's already here. I just need to put my big girl panties on and start reading it. Next we have Lolita, written by Vladimir Nabokov, and I've had this classic on my TBR since 2020, and I've wanted to read it just because I want to understand why people are so obsessed with the Lolita aesthetic. I want to see if this book is as problematic as it seems, or if it's the people that are reading it that sort of like make it problematic, if you know what I mean. Like, people out here calling a romance between a child and a grown-ass man the best love story of our era. Like, I just want to understand, like, am I missing out? Something just doesn't feel right about this book, but it's a classic for a reason, so I want to see why. I don't want to talk about this book without having read it so that I know what I'm talking about, so I definitely need to read Lolita this year. This next one is probably the most intimidating one of this whole list, and it's Cien Años de Soledad, written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I've tried to read this bad boy so many times. I tried to read it in Spanish because it is its original language and my native language is Spanish, but it's it's not the type of Spanish that I normally speak. It's a lot more, highbrow. I had a very hard time trying to read this book, and then people were like, oh, you should just read it in English, but then I was like, I feel like I could never forgive myself if I read a book that is originally written in Spanish in English. So I really want to read Cien Años de Soledad. Maybe I'll read the Spanish and the English version at the same time. I don't know. Like, I don't know how I'm going to tackle this, but I will. Mark my words. 2023 is the year that I'm going to read Cien Años de Soledad. If I don't, I'll deactivate. There we go. I said it. The next classic that I want to read this year is Great Expectations, written by Charles Dickens. This would be my third Dickens novel. I've read A Tale of Two Cities, of course, and then I also read A Christmas Carol with my Patreons on December, and I've really actually enjoyed it. I can't believe that it took me this long to read A Christmas Carol, and I also saw my very first movie adaptation of that story as well, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know why it took me so long to pick it up, but I am so excited to keep reading more Dickens, because the more that I read from him, the more that I love his writing and the way that he writes his characters, and the story itself is just really beautiful. So I'm very excited to read Great Expectations this year, and hopefully I'll love it as much as I did A Tale of Two Cities. Then I want to read a book by Virginia Woolf, and it is called Mrs. Dalloway. I've heard so many mixed reviews about Mrs. Dalloway. So many people tell me, oh my god, you're gonna hate it. It's so boring, it's so confusing, but then other people are like, this is such an insightful novel, it's incredible, you're going to love it, you're going to cry. Well, maybe not cry. There's definitely a difference of opinions between my subscribers. Some think I'm going to love it, some think I'm going to hate it. I personally think that I'm going to really enjoy it, because in 2022 I read my first Virginia Woolf novel, which was The Waves, and I loved it. Like, it hurt to read. It was confusing if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, but I read it and I loved it, and it was painful because I had grown so attached to these characters, and seeing them grow, seeing them hurt, seeing them in pain, it was a whirlwind of emotions. If Virginia Woolf can make me feel those types of emotions in less than like 400 pages, then I feel like I'm going to enjoy Mrs. Dalloway. So fingers crossed I'll love it. Hopefully I will. Then I want to read The Brothers Karamazov. I tried to find a copy of this book when I was in Miami, but it was nowhere to be found. And I tried to find it on the internet, and it's so expensive. So I'm still trying to find my copy of this book, but I for sure want to read this book. Do I know what this book is about? Absolutely not, my dude, but it's just been on my Instagram for the longest time, and some of the quotes and some of the excerpts that I've read have caught my attention, and I really want to read it. I want to feel what these people are feeling, and yeah, I just want to read it. That's it. I just want to read it. So there we go. That's reason enough for me. The last classic in this list is The Count of Monte Cristo. Yeah. I don't know if you saw my last book haul of 2022, but I recently got a copy of The Count of Monte Cristo. It's a certified murder weapon. Yes, it's humongous, it's huge, but I'm also so excited to read it, especially because I'm going to be reading it with some of my friends. So we have like our own little support system. And you know, just like buddy reading it with people that are also going to be there with you, it feels a lot less intimidating. So I'm very excited to read The Count of Monte Cristo, hopefully love it. You know, like, I'm going to be spending a lot of time with this book, so hopefully by the end of it, it's going to either be like a 3.5 or a 4-star at least. It'd be kind of a shame if I spend like a whole month reading a book just for it to be like a 2-star read. So fingers crossed I'll actually enjoy all of the books that I'm mentioning here. I'll stay positive. Moving on to the new releases category. The first book in this list, of course, belongs to Emily Henry. She has a new book coming out this year, and it's called Happy Place. It has a pink cover. Come on now! You can never go wrong with a pink cover, except if you're Death in Her Hands. That book does not deserve to be pink. Happy Place by Emily Henry. I've read all of the books that she's come out with, which have only been 3, so it's not that much, but all of them have been 5-star reads. So to say that I have very big expectations for Happy Place would be an understatement, but I just cannot wait for this book to come out so that I can devour it in one sitting and then talk about it until I die. Then we have The Stolen Heir by Holly Black, which has officially already come out by the time that I'm filming this, but I don't have it in my hands just yet. So technically it is still a new release for me. And this is like a spin-off series to The Cruel Prince. We're following Jude's brother, which I cannot remember the name of right now. Trust me, I do love the Cruel Prince series. I just cannot remember his name. He isn't, well, he is. Stop. Okay, the point is, The Stolen Heir is the first book in a new duology written by Holly Black, and I am so excited to read this one because of course I love the Cruel Prince trilogy. It's one of my favorites. I feel like I reread it every single year. Not that I'm complaining. I have the time of my life rereading those books, especially The Wicked King. That's like, you know, that's the peak of that trilogy. But anyways, I'm so excited to read The Stolen Heir. Hopefully it'll be just as good as The Cruel Prince. Fingers crossed. We get to see a little bit of Jude and Carden. Then we have a new book by one of my favorite authors, which is R.F. Kuang. She is coming out with this book that's called Yellowface. If I'm not mistaken, it's about this woman who steals someone else's manuscript because that person died. But the thing is that the person that wrote the manuscript is Asian, and then the woman who stole it, I think she's white. So I think the story that the Asian woman wrote is very much about her experience and her culture. Maybe I'm making all of this up. Maybe I read this somewhere. Maybe I dreamt this. I can already tell this is going to be fantastic. It's going to revolutionize 2023. It's already, like, it hasn't even come out yet and it has already rewired my brain chemistry. So I cannot wait to actually hold it in my hands and read it. Then we have, of course, another one. Chain of Thorns, written by Cassandra Clare. Shut up, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Like, just thinking and just like, you know what I mean? Like, no, I can't talk about it because I know I'm going to be so heartbroken by this book. It's literally inevitable. It's the end of one of the best Cassandra Clare series. We have Cordelia, we have James, we have Will, we have Tessa. I just don't want to think about this series coming to an end because I have so many wonderful memories with the first two books. I don't want to let it go, but I know that I'll have to, and I know that it's going to hurt. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it, but just know I'm definitely going to be reading this book this year, and it's going to hurt, and I'm probably going to be in like a book coma for 2 to 3 months after it. But that's okay, that's my healing process. Hopefully you guys can respect that. Thank you. And then I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Rick Riordan is coming out with a 6th book in the Percy Jackson series. It's called The Chalice of God. And we have Percy Jackson as an adult. Probably Annabeth, of course. Probably Nico D'Angelo. So many of our favorites are coming back for number 6 in the Percy Jackson series, and I can't believe he did this. Like, first we're gonna get the Disney show, and now we're gonna get another book in the Percy Jackson series. Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah, this is my year. I'm sorry, I have to say it, this is my year. And then, of course, we have volume 5 of Heartstopper. I think this is the final volume in this series, and I'm so happy. Honestly, like, it's probably going to be a very bittersweet moment because I've been reading Heartstopper since it first came out, and then of course the Netflix series, and it just becoming so popular and so many people seeing themselves in this story and feeling identified with these characters. It's just been such a wonderful experience, and I can't wait to see where Nick and Charlie go in volume 5, and it's going to be so heartwarming. I just know I'm going to be smiling and giggling the whole way through, and I can't wait. I really can't. The last book that I have in the new releases category is He Who Drowned the World, who is the sequel to She Who Became the Sun. Yeah, that's all I have to say. It's the sequel to She Who Became the Sun. I loved She Who Became the Sun. It became my whole personality for like 7 weeks. It was wonderful, honestly, definitely. It's not the type of book that I would normally pick up, but I'm so happy that I did. And I'm so excited that the sequel is coming out this year because, yeah, I'm just really excited. And I'm definitely going to have to reread the first book before I read the second one, but it's okay, it's wonderful. I loved reading the first book, so I'm definitely going to love rereading it. Yeah, there we go. Oh, look at my birthday balloons. Hi. Yeah, it was my birthday, sorry. It's not about me. Yes, it is about me. Hi. I need to calm down. The next category is unfinished series, and the first book in this list is Jade War, which is the sequel to Jade City. I had previously DNF'd Jade City, but so many people told me to give it a second chance, so I did, and I'm so happy that I did because I actually really enjoyed it. I loved the characters, I loved the whole political side of the story. I ended up giving Jade City 3.5 stars, and it made me really excited because so many people told me that if I liked Jade City, I was going to love Jade War. Color me excited for the sequel. I'm definitely going to be continuing the series and hopefully finishing it this year. It's a trilogy, so I only have 2 more books to go, so fingers crossed I can get that series off my unfinished series list. Here's hoping. Then we have Spy Family. I'm obviously not going to be able to finish the series this year because we have so many more volumes that we're waiting to be published. So yeah, I just want to keep reading more Spy Family volumes because I've mentioned this so many times, but I love Spy Family so much, and every time a new volume comes out, I just know it's going to be a 5-star because I love the characters, I love the story, and I cannot wait to continue. So yeah, Spy Family is definitely a book that I'm going to be reading this year. Hopefully several volumes. I don't know how many volumes are going to be published this year, but hopefully we have more than 5. Because waiting for a new manga volume is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. There are 2 other manga series that I want to continue reading this year, and if you haven't guessed them by now, I'll give you 5 seconds. They're very obvious. The first one is Jujutsu Kaisen. Yes, and then the second one is Attack on Titan. I've been collecting the omnibus versions for Attack on Titan, and I love them. They're exquisite, they're amazing, they're wonderful, and I can't wait to collect even more of them this year. So there we go. Also, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, 2023, let's go. Also, Attack on Titan, the final season, part 3, or part 4? Attack on Titan, the anime, is ending this year as well, so like, are we ready? I don't think we're ready for this, but it's okay. We're gonna have to be. The last book on this list is Wondersmith, which is the sequel to Nevermore, written by Jessica Townsend. I read Nevermore, I want to say last year, but it was probably 2021. And I had so much fun reading that book. I actually read it in one sitting. It's a very unique story, and I found myself falling in love with these characters and rooting for them and wanting to know what happens to them next. And I think the only reason that I haven't continued this series is because I think it's going to be a very long book series, and I haven't decided if I want to collect them or if I'm just going to continue the series like digitally. A series that is more than 8 books, if it's not a manga, I have a hard time committing to it. But hopefully, I'm really excited about the story and I really like the characters, so I think I'm just gonna, you know, take the plunge and just read Wondersmith, and if I really like it, I might just go ahead and buy it for myself. So there we go. The last category is standalones, and the first book on this list is My Dark Vanessa. I've heard so many people recommend this book to me, but they've also mentioned how it's extremely dark and it has a lot of trigger warnings, so please beware. But honestly, that doesn't really deter me from picking up the book. It looks really interesting. I'm not quite sure what it's about, but so many people have mentioned it to me, and it's been on so many people's like favorites list that I have to try it for myself. So My Dark Vanessa is definitely a book that I'm going to be reading in 2023 and hopefully loving it as much as people seem to. The next book is In the Dream House, written by Carmen Maria Machado. I have read one other book by her, which was Her Body and Other Parties, and I loved it. I really enjoyed how macabre it was and how unique and weird and low-key traumatizing it was. And I've heard that In the Dream House is fantastic. I think it's a nonfiction because it's the author speaking about her own experience with abuse. This just looks like a really important read and something that I would really enjoy just reading about, even though it's probably going to be really hard to get through at times. But I'm just really interested in reading this, especially after my friend Shelby recommended it to me. I just have to. I have to. The last book on this list is This Is How You Lose the Time War. This has been recommended to me by so many people. I think it's low-key insulting that I haven't picked it up yet. But I am so confident that I'm going to love this book, and somebody even gifted it to me, so, you know, I have zero excuses to not read this book. and I'm so excited to read it. I'm probably going to read it this month as well because I have the copy. I'm super excited about it, and it's really short as well, so literally zero excuses to not read this book. Those are the top 23 books that I want to read in the year of our Lord 2023. Let me know what books you guys are excited about this year. Let me know which ones you think I should prioritize over others. Please don't tell me to read The Count of Monte Cristo first because that's gonna take me like 7 years, but I believe in myself. I believe. I hope you guys believe in me too. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment. It really helps my channel out. It helps keep it alive, and it helps keep me alive, so I would really appreciate it. If you like my channel and if you like me, I also have a Patreon where I post exclusive content like reading vlogs. We also do live shows and reading sprints. We have a monthly buddy read. If you're interested, the link is down below. I would really appreciate it. I would love you forever, and you can join my army of premium simpers. So there you go. I mean, should I say more? I also have an Instagram where you can follow me. Whenever I'm not on YouTube, I'm definitely on Instagram, so you can go there and just see what's up, you know what I mean? That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Hey Jimmy, you nice, keep going.